The maintenance bay of orbital station Zenith 7 hummed with a rhythmic pulse of recycling units and air processors. Ferret wiped the grease from his hands. His worn jumpsuit bearing the faded insignia of the custodial corps, humanity's unsung heroes who kept the galaxy's infrastructure running while others claimed glory. He'd been working the night shift for 3 standard years now. Ever since the war ended, the Krillian Empire had underestimated humanity's tenacity, their ability to adapt, to survive in conditions that would break any other species. Humans didn't have the Krillians' superior technology or the Vexaries' telepathic networks. What they had was something far more dangerous: persistence. Hey Ferret. He turned to see Maya entering the bay, her own maintenance suit pristine despite the 12-hour shift she'd just completed. She'd transferred to the station 6 months ago, assigned to the Waste Reclamation Division. Nobody really talked to waste management staff. It was considered the lowest rung on the station's social ladder, but Ferret had talked to her, and in those conversations over burnt coffee in the break room, he'd discovered someone extraordinary. She knew 17 languages, could recite old Earth poetry, and had opinions on quantum mechanics that made his head spin. When he'd asked why someone so brilliant was working in waste management, she'd simply smiled and said, "Sometimes you need to see things from the bottom to understand the top." "You're here late," Maya observed, settling onto a supply crate. "Could say the same about you." Ferret grinned, securing the panel he'd been repairing. "Actually, I was hoping I'd run into you." There was amusement in her dark eyes. Ferret's confidence wavered. The Galactic Unity Gala was in 2 weeks, a massive celebration marking 5 years since the armistice of Kepler 442. Every species that had fought in the war would send representatives. It was being held right here on Zenith 7, and somehow, through a bureaucratic miracle, even maintenance staff were allowed to attend. "The gala," he started, then stopped. "Look, I know this is crazy. I'm just a janitor. But I got tickets, and I was wondering if, maybe, you'd want to go with me." The silence stretched for 3 heartbeats. "You're asking me to the gala?" Maya's expression was unreadable. "I mean, I get it if you don't want to. We'd probably be the poorest people there. I'd have to rent a suit, and even then I'd look like I'm playing dress-up. But I thought maybe Ferret." She stood, walking closer. "Why do you want to go?" He blinked at the question. "Honestly, because humanity earned our place there. 5 years ago, every species in the galaxy thought we were vermin, upstart primitives who'd burn out in a generation. But we didn't. We survived wars, plagues, and cosmic disasters that wiped out civilizations 10 times older than ours. We're still here, still fighting, still building." He met her eyes. "I want to see that celebration. And I want to see it with someone who gets it. Someone who understands that there's dignity in every kind of work, even mopping floors." Maya was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled, not the polite smile she usually wore, but something genuine and warm. "Yes, yes, yes, I'll be your date to the gala." She reached out and squeezed his hand. "But, Ferret, there's something you should know." An alarm cut through the bay. Emergency lighting flashed red. "Hull breach, Sector 12, the automated system announced. All personnel to emergency stations." Ferret's training kicked in immediately. Sector 12 was the old quarter-week superstructure, corroded seals. If it blew, 300 people would be exposed to vacuum. "I have to go," he said, already grabbing his emergency kit. "I'm coming with you." Maya insisted. They ran. The corridor was chaos, people streaming away from the breach while Ferret and 2 other custodial staff ran toward it. They had 15 minutes before the automated systems would seal the sector, potentially trapping anyone inside. Ferret worked with mechanical precision, sealing microfractures with polymer foam, while Maya somehow accessed the station's main systems and rerouted power to reinforce the emergency bulkheads. Her fingers flew across the interface with the ease of someone who'd done this 1,000 times. "How do you know how to do that?" Ferret shouted over the howling wind of escaping atmosphere. "I pay attention," she shouted back. 12 minutes later, the breach was contained. Ferret slumped against the wall, exhausted but alive. Maya sat beside him, her maintenance suit torn but her expression triumphant. "That's humanity right there," Ferret said between breaths. "We fix what's broken. We don't give up." "No," Maya agreed softly. "We don't." 2 weeks later, Ferret stood outside the gala venue in his rented suit, feeling like an imposter among the glittering crowd of diplomats, admirals, and corporate magnates. He was about to turn back when he saw her. Maya descended the steps in a gown that seemed to capture starlight itself. But it wasn't the dress that made him stare, it was the contingent of Imperial guards flanking her. and the diplomatic seal of the Terran Empire gleaming at her throat. She reached him, smiling at his shock. "Surprise," she said gently. You're Emperor Davros's daughter, Princess Maya Davros." "I am." She took his hand. "But I'm also the girl who works waste reclamation because I wanted to understand my father's empire from every angle. The girl who thinks there's dignity in all honest work. The girl who said yes when a brave janitor asked her to a gala." Ferret's mind reeled. "I asked the Emperor's daughter, you asked Maya," she corrected, "and she's honored to be your date." As they entered the gala together, a custodial engineer and a Princess Kamara's flashed and whispers erupted. But Maya held his hand tightly, and Ferret realized something profound. This was the true strength of humanity. Not that they could survive impossible odds or adapt to any environment. It was that they could see worth in anyone, dignity in any honest labor, and hope in any situation. A janitor and a princess, walking together into the light. That was humanity. That was why they'd never be defeated. The end.